Hey, I'm Nick Filardi. I co-host with Jason Thielbar on the world's second finest podcast. Every week we talk about 90s Bat books, but we also talk comics, movies, books, TV, both new and old, that we love. What you're about to listen to is an unedited version of that conversation. This is the To Read Pile. Jason, what are you reading?
I still reading a bunch of things at once, as usual, but a comic book that I'm reading this week that I'd like to talk about is Burma Chronicles by Guy Diacel. I'm never sure how to pronounce his last name. Diacel. I know it's Guy. It's spelt Guy, but it's pronounced in the French way. He's a Canadian cartoonist. He's from Quebec.
Nice.
It's called Burma Chronicles. So Guy, I've read his another book by him called Jerusalem that's more recent than Burma Chronicles, but he's a cartoonist that has a background in animation, and he does these travel logs because his wife works for Doctors Without Borders. So they go all around the world and to some not great places.
Sure, yeah.
And this country is Burma, which or more known as Myanmar now. Burma was its colonial name, but they refer to the country now as Myanmar, the military dictatorship that's still in there. But it's just this beautiful little book that, well, I shouldn't say little book. It's quite thick. It's got some pages, but Guy's art style is very much in a tradition of wonderful European style cartooning, very French, which isn't shocking. I actually thought he was just straight up French for like a while, because this is translated. It does come out in French originally. I mean, he is from Quebec, so it's
Sure, yeah.
Primarily like, but
no one would fault you for thinking that this guy was from France. Yeah.
But obviously, like, huge influences from European comic books on him. And but it's like a travelogue memoir, and the way it's usually written is it's about 2 to 3 pages of just different events, different stories. They have a child, so it's him and a small baby in this like terribly poor country that's run by a brutal dictator, military junta, which is what Myanmar is, while his wife works with one of the most necessary and just beautiful organizations in the world, Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah.
And it's just really, it's always really well done. The other book of his that I have looking at my shelf right now is Jerusalem, when they had went to Gaza and the West Bank.
Nice.
And it does touch on some of the politics, like, here and there, but most of the time he just sort of gives you like the facts of what's going on. But what's really interesting is his interactions with like the people on the ground in these like impossible scenarios that are really hard to sort of imagine. I can't imagine what it's like living under a brutal military dictatorship. And what's always so fascinating to me is like there's so many people that are just like, like they know what's going on and they know it's not great, but it's just, the humdrumness of life sometimes. They're,
sure.
Gonna buy, gotta go buy some food, gotta go, well, whatever it is really funny too. Like, his humor is great. He's great at showing himself as this like sort of like confused, but also like, he's just like, man, I'm just a cartoonist / animator. And like, he'll be at these like parties with his wife and he'll be like, okay, diplomat, works for the WHO, works for doctors, works for this other, another doctor doing more volunteer work. And like, I draw comic books and watch the baby. But it's just, I really highly recommend it. It's a different version of, I don't know if I've talked about on the show actually before, but of Joe Sacco, who is one of sort of like the founders of like journalism comics, essentially is the way it is. I'd recommend like Safe Area Gozerad. I think he did a lot of reporting work about the Czechoslovakian war that went on during the 90s. and which is actually how, as a really young Jason, part of many things that kind of radicalized me, and really got me into keeping up with those kinds of things,
Sure.
And this is in that vein. That's not exactly journalism, but it is not. It is nonfiction. But yeah, Burma Chronicles by Guy DSL,
dude,
published
that
by
sounds great.
Drawn and Quarterly.
It looked like a Drawn and Quarterly book. I was like, that's a D&Q.
It is. I love how there's. I love it when comic book publishers become like record labels for me, because of like the way I would like crate dig and stuff. And if I would like find a record that I'm not sure, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'd flip it around and be like, oh, these people always put out pretty good stuff. All right.
Yeah. I'll take a chance. Whatever. Yeah.
They've never steered me wrong.
I have a Drawn and Quarterly anecdote in a minute, but I do want to say before I get it, are you finished? I don't want to step on your feet.
Okay, no. I think I got it.
This book sounds great. I'm definitely going to get it at some point. Man, we need another Drawn and Quarterly warehouse sale, because I gotta dip into their catalog again. At any rate, that's besides the point.
I frantically texted you when I saw the Drawn and Quarterly warehouse sale. I was like,
absolutely. And absolutely text me again when it happens. But so there's a series of Drawn and Quarterly books that I have my eyes on. Anyway, the point is this. I played some, this isn't necessarily anything that I've read, but I played some Back for Blood with my buddy Cam and Boix on Twitch on Thursdays. I've expanded from doing just Fire Emblem on Sundays to on Thursdays doing some Back for Blood as well, which is a first-person shooter zombie survival game. It's very fun. It's very Left 4 Dead, if anybody remembers that old game. A lot of yelling, a lot of accusing other players of shooting them. It's fine. Don't worry about it. However, Cam always does every year. He does a drive on his channel. He's got the bigger channel out of the three of us by far, where he does a drive with all these incentive goals, and he streams for 24 hours
nice.
For Doctors Without Borders. So,
cool.
Yeah. Twitch.tv/Ilyon _ILYON_. Good dude, worth a follow. Donate to Doctors Without Borders, because they are maybe like one of the only decent charities out there doing like real honest to God, like, great things for humanity.
And so badass too. So bad. Like they go into places where they know that like it does not, like, people don't, like, they go into situations where like it doesn't matter that they're like, hey, we're just doctors and we're not. They're like, so support them when and however you can.
Back for Blood was a lot of fun. At any rate, I read The Baker Street 4 is what I read, which is a Euro comic that got translated into English. It stars the Baker Street Irregulars. There is a video that I don't know if it's fan made or publisher made about, like, introduces all the characters. I'm going to run that now.
My name is Holmes, Sherlock Holmes, the great detective. You've probably heard about my exploits. I know London inside out, but when I need to lead an investigation in the notorious East End, I often call upon my young assistants, the Mavericks of Baker Street. Meet reckless cat burglar Tom. Hawkeye Billy, the sleuth.
Read all about it! Sherlock Holmes has saved the Queen again!
And Charlie, the sharpest tool in the shed. Not forgetting Watson, of course, their cat, not the doctor. Together, they form the Baker Street 4. Let the adventure begin.
It stars the Baker Street Irregulars. They are a counterpart to Sherlock Holmes. So in the regular Sherlock Holmes stories, he would rely on a network of like homeless. And in this book, they kind of like riff on that, and they're like homeless kids. I don't know if there were kids in the original Sherlock Holmes stories or not, but in this one, it follows 3 kids, this hot-headed Irish kid, a kid who wants to be like Sherlock Holmes, so he's like kind of the analytical one out of the group, and then a girl who's dressed up as a boy in order to like not get fucking, treated like a girl in turn of the century London.
Yeah.
And then also a cat named Watson who like helps out every once in a while. And it's like, so they go, this first book, the first volume, they go on 2 adventures, and it's mostly kind of an adventure book, not really a mystery book. Like I thought I was going to get into some mysteries, but there isn't really a whole lot of like clues and then solving. It's like, the first one is one of the girls that one of these kids likes gets abducted and is potentially abducted into prostitution, and they have to like go bust it up to figure it out. Yeah. So that grimace that you just did where you're like, ugh, that moment was like, okay, who is this book for? Because it's like starring children and a cat, but then it's like people fucking die, Jason. The second story has to do with like the Russian Tsar's secret police, like, and refugees and speaking your mind, and like there's murder. And I was like, on the one hand, it's very like kid focused with these like wacky kids like doing their mischief. And on the other hand, it's like, I'm worried about my girlfriend because she's 14 and she's being like locked into prostitution.
Is it? Well, it's European, right?
Yes,
the comic book.
It is.
Yeah. So like I think it's like that. I think this is just our American sensibilities, because don't forget that like something like hell, remember I just think about a lot of like Japanese anime and comic books that have been like just so like run through the American censorship
sure
lens, like famously,
man, that still happens.
Yeah, like famously Sailor Moon had a couple of lesbian couples on it, but like I think one pair was like villains, but in the American dub of it, like when it originally aired, they were cousins, which made some like scenes like really weird that they had to try to explain away.
Some problems to explain away for sure.
Yeah, and so I think maybe that's just like, I mean, to be clear, I do think it is really dark for a kid's book, but maybe it's more like, maybe this is more of like their sort of like YA level. Like I don't think like,
right,
they'd be like handing this to an 8-year-old, but maybe to like a 14-year-old, be like, yeah, sure. Hey, here you go.
Yes.
Here's gonna be some dark stuff.
So as just a heads up to anyone thinking about picking this up, first of all, it's fucking gorgeous. Like painted all the way through. It's gorgeous, Jason. It's gorgeous in a way that makes it hard to read. Like it's almost like too pretty, because you read panel to panel and it's like the artist wants you to linger on every single panel. It turns into like drowning in content that's beautiful. You know what I mean? And I say that as like, you might hear that as a non-comics reader and be like, that's all that's not a complaint, that's a feature. But like you need to like come up for air every once in a while. You need like the action scenes need to feel quick, and like if you're rendering every background, you're drawing every person in every single scene, it doesn't feel any faster than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like it's just like one long guitar solo, like, but like right. For like 30 minutes.
The artist is expertly talented, but needs to just chill every once in a while. That's like that, and the lettering are my only 2 complaints. Let me talk to you about the lettering.
All
the
right.
Lettering, and this is my Drawn and Quarterly anecdote. So I was complaining about this lettering in a Discord, and someone was saying that like Drawn and Quarterly will re-letter and re-balloon every single translation they do, and they are committed to get it absolutely correct. This is not Drawn and Quarterly.
The humanoids?
This is, I believe, Insight. Yeah, Insight Comics, which I hadn't ever even heard of before picking this up. I don't even know how this
is. Is it album sized?
So
the book
first
itself?
volume that I got is tiny, and then the second, third, and fourth are like almost album sized.
Okay, yeah, I'm such a sucker for an album sized European comic. Like if you're going to translate a European comic, and if it was originally an album sized, I know this is specifically for me, and it doesn't really work in the American market. I'm sure an editor or publisher would roll their eyes at me. But my God, am I such a sucker for just an album size of a European comic?
If you get this book, try to get the larger edition. I ordered from Amazon, and I got a small one for volume 1, and then the large ones for 2, 3, and 4. Haven't read 2, 3, and 4 yet. Read the first one. Let me talk to you about the letters. So I was complaining about the letters in a Discord, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, Drawn and Quarterly, redoes all the letters, adjusts them, translates them, love, care, and attention." And I was like, I think I got spoiled by Drawn and Quarterly in reading their translations, because I bought a bunch of stuff in their warehouse sale, like you were saying, and I've read a lot of their translated stuff, and it all reads really great. And then I read this, and I was like, oh no, because it's like they're not balloons, they're squares, and then the tail that comes out of the square, and like, I don't care, it's square, that's fine as long as it's legible. But then the tail that comes out of every balloon looks like a fucking EKG meter. It's just like all over the fucking place, and it's super thin, and it comes to a point. So like half of it is just a line, and then all of the backgrounds are so busy. Like the world is so lived in. The guy is drawing and painting everything. Like, so when the balloon is all over the place and then half of it is just a line, I'm like, I have no idea who's talking. Like, is the dog in the foreground talking? Is the people in the background? Is it like the window? Are they inside the place or the outside? I don't know, because it
gets lost in the noise of it all.
Right. Yeah, man. But other than that, I'm sure if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing the pictures that I'm putting up of the book, and you're like, holy shit, this thing's gorgeous. And it is absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of suffers from the same thing. I brought Delilah Dirk and the Turkish Lieutenant. Yeah. Those books, first volume, printed a little dark. And then all the other volumes printed perfectly. It's the same thing here. My first volume that I had, a little bit dark, a little hard to see some stuff occasionally. The artist adjusted, fixed for volume 2, 3, 4. I'm excited to read more. It's adventures. It's fun. It's light, kind of.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. It's linked to the Sherlock Holmes stuff, which I kind of like. So Sherlock Holmes, they kind of debrief Holmes about like what's happening in London at the end of their adventures. And usually Sherlock Holmes is away, like he's away on like famous Sherlock Holmes stories. Yeah. So he's like out of town, and then the criminal element is like, Sherlock Holmes is out of town, we got to get all our crimes in, and then these kids get wrapped up in it.
Well, as far as I know, I remember reading this somewhere once, but I might be way off on it because I've never really been in this world. But sort of one of the original progenitors of fan fiction was Sherlock Holmes fan fiction, because not that Conan Doyle really meant it to be, but like there was something weird with the copyright where like it wasn't copyrighted, or at least like for a while. And so like people would just start like, or like, and like sometimes like, I think there was also a cliffhanger in like the original books for like a long time where like Holmes was dead, and fans didn't like that. And I think he came back at a later book. I don't, but in the interim though, there were just people who were just like, well, I can just write and publish this because like, you know, it's not
the Hound of the
Baskervilles,
it's not copyright.
And I can like do what I want with it. And so like apparently like that's one of like the first sort of like fan fiction things was Sherlock Holmes.
Heck yeah,
Because-
public domain. Love to see it.
Oh, goddamn right. Everything should be in the public domain.
So the Baker Street 4 Volume 1, it's written by J.B. Dajian and Oliver Legrand. Art by David Eteen. So yeah, check it out if you get a chance. If you like Sherlock Holmes stuff, if you like books like Black Sad, you might like this. It's in the similar vein of like quality, you know.
Oh yeah, Black Sad. Black Sad goes hard. I got to read Black Sad.
Not quite to the level of Black Sad, but like scraping up against it, I feel like. So yeah.
Is it like, again, like I was saying earlier with Jean-Paul Leon on the main show for those watching, of like, man, you didn't have to do all of this. Like, you didn't have to give me all these gifts. Like,
it feels like that.
Thank you, but
it's especially like I mentioned that they draw everything in it, and that can be a lot when you're reading it. However, like when I read a lot of books now, especially like mainstream books, indie books, I'm not going to name names, but it feels like people are stepping away from drawing a lot of backgrounds, especially now in American comics. I mean, manga's always been light on backgrounds, but American comics especially, I feel like not a lot of backgrounds, not a lot of complex, interesting backgrounds. That Jean-Paul Leon book, an exception to that, of course, because he drew the fucking shit out of that. But like, if you're wondering where all the backgrounds went, they're in European comics. Pick up some Euro comics.
Yeah. I mean, pick up some European comic. Pick up some. Everyone would do well to pick up some. Pick up a European comic, and pick up a Japanese comic, but pick up a manga that isn't one that maybe you would usually read. You know, like go for a weird one, because
I always love trying out manga. Like there was just this is, I guess, apropos of nothing, but like I'm on a mailing list of like older professionals. It's funny. We're at an age where it's like we're computer literate, but we're also now kind of old. So it's like, am I on TikTok? Fuck no. But like, so this mailing list, this pro mailing list, is a Google group of like my age and older pros. And then like I'm in a Discord with like my age and younger pros. So it's like kind of in between both worlds. Anyway, the point is that they were like, hey, has anybody have any manga recommendations? And it was funny because these are like all old pros that read most of their comics in their 20s. And they're like, oh yeah, Lone Wolf and Cub, Akira, Nausicaa Valley of the Wind, like stuff like that. And I'm like, let me tell you about Dan to Dan. Let me tell you about Chainsaw Man. Let me tell you about Spy X Family, you know, like yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, let me tell you about like when they were saying like, you know, like Akira and like that, like here's my recommendation from quote unquote old school manga, or at least old school in America manga. One of my first and still favorite, and I'm gonna reread because I just got the Viz app, Ramna 1/2.
Oh damn, yeah, you got the Viz app? Are you Jason? Are we entering your manga era? Are you bringing manga nonstop to the show now? I would love that, Jason. I would love that.
Not nonstop, but like I've always read manga. I've no aversion.
Readers can't see it. They can't see you, you know, because we're on a video call, but this is an audio medium. Yeah, I would love it if you just over the course of a year, your whole room, the whole space, you and the space just got more weebed out. Like we're gonna end with like Inuyasha wall scrolls in your room.
So
I would love it. I'd love it.
So you're saying you want me to become the type of person who calls every anime or manga by its original Japanese name?
Yes,
that's the level you want me.
Jason,
at.
Let's journey to that place together. I believe in us. We can achieve it.
I think
Also
it's a
read
worthy
Delicious
goal.
in Dungeon. Man, such a
Oh,
good
yeah,
one.
shit.
That's not on the Viz app, but like it's very, very good. That's Yen
Yeah.
Press. So yeah. Shit, man. Manga's real
Yeah.
good.
We have so
I
many
gotta throw out-
recommendations in this to read.
I gotta throw out this pile of Euro books and start reading some more manga. Shit. I goofed. No, I am very excited to read more of this. I'm probably gonna bring more of the volumes into the to read pile with any other further observations that I have. I also have another set of old Euro comics from the 70s. I bought 3 of 6 hardcovers of this particular story that I'm like very interested in getting into. It's been on my pile for a while. It's an artist who passed away within like the last year. And then somebody in my Discord actually who reads a lot of Euro comics was like, this person passed away and their work's legendary. And I had never heard of them. And I was like, I'm going to pick up the half of this and see how it is. And I just haven't. Man, it's like finding the heckin' time, man.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't read this yet, but I really want to.
Oh yeah, some Blueberry going on there, huh?
Yeah. This is a book barn find.
I feel like lately I've been seeing Mobius's was it iCal or Incal or something like that.
There's before Incal. There's the Incal. That was the book that he did with Ron Jaworski. Or Jaworski, I forget his first name, who was a director and almost made Dune, but then quit movies after it. I've been seeing that pop up in my feed a lot, and it's in my local comic shop, and I keep being like, maybe. Man, I don't know. Too many damn good comics to read. Yeah. This other Euro comic that I'm reading is extremely wordy, and this is like a hardcover celebration of the story, so it's like filled with all these anecdotes in the beginning that are all like really interesting, and how this book predates Star Wars but like is doing a lot of the stuff that Star Wars did. So I'm like very, very interested in it. Whenever I finish it, I will bring it to the to read and we will chat about it. But it's like trying to get over that hump of like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read this. It's going to be a lot of words and I just have to get through it. Yeah. Sometimes you do, you know, sometimes you just have to find the flow of a thing. And it can sometimes actually be like really like, I know I've joked about it, but like I'm still very slowly, quicker now, but going through William Faulkner's Epsilon, and I've never read Faulkner before, so I really didn't know that he was more like Joyce, which I've never been able to actually like finish Ulysses or Portrait of the Artist as a young man, but I've stuck with Faulkner because like I mean the words are so beautiful. It's just so wonderfully written, but so dense, and there's very little punctuation, but like once you get used to the rhythm of it, you know, I think is the thing.
Then you can kind of get in the vibe for sure.
Yeah. It's like when I tell people who are afraid of watching films with subtitles because they're like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to be reading and not paying attention to the to what's going on, and I'm like, well, yeah, that happens at first, but after you kind of start doing it, and like if you watch a few like in a row of like non-English films, and like you start getting used to, and you're always going to miss a little bit anyway because it's just how those things work, but like you sometimes have to like sometimes you got to just like power through it and find the rhythm, you know, the rhythm might not be there right away. I'm gonna put some time. I'm gonna go on a Euro bender, Jason. I'm gonna read these and I'm gonna read the other ones. I'm calling it right now. You know what you can call it? You know what we're gonna have? I mean, we're gonna have on the to read pile. We're gonna have Nick Filardi's Grand Tour.
I like it. I'm in.
Yeah.
I need to find more fucking Euro comics. Shit.
I can help you out with that.
Yeah.
Why did you say that like a drug dealer? Yeah, I got a guy.
Yeah, I'm on the Viz app, but I got another guy if you're interested.
Yeah. I'll take a train up to Quebec. Go to the actual D&Q store.
we should wrap this up. Is there an actual D&Q store?
Yeah.
Shit, man.
In Montreal, I believe.
Ah, I gotta go. Yeah. They spoil us.
They do.
Jason, where can people find you?
People can find me at King of Black Acid on Twitter. They can find me at World Second Finest on the Twitter machine. That's World Second with a 2. Trying to let people know what's going on. And I don't know, just find me if you ever feel like it. I'm a talker, and I'll talk about anything. You know.
I'm at linktree.com/Nickfil, also at twitter.com/Nickfil, youtube.com/Nickfil, Discord something. I didn't get to write that link, so I don't know what the link is offhand, but it's on my Linktree. You can hop in the Discord where we talk about comics, games, everything. Jason, just a heads up. I know I said that I was going to go. I immediately am going back on my Euro Nick Filardi's Grand Tour because you said that and I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then I realized, oh, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom comes out on Friday. And I was like, I'm going to play this game all weekend long. And Shannon's like, no, we're going on a hike. And I was like, I am going to play this game all weekend long, except for going on the hike. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I read anything for the to read pile next time. But yeah,
don't worry. I'm just going to pretend that Zelda is the new Zelda game is a Euro comic. And I'll act confused when it's not.
They did make some mangas, by the way. I can bring some Nintendo manga to the pod one of these days.
Ooh, I say do it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.